Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So today I thought I would show my top McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures that are a part of my collection. So this was not an easy thing to do because I got quite a few of these figures, but I tried my best to narrow it down to the ones that stand out to me the most for various reasons. So there was one rule that I gave myself for this, and that is I'm not including any Build-A-Figures, simply because Build-A-Figures take a lot more commitment to put together, and I didn't want that to influence my decision, and also because the Build-A-Figures tend to have a little higher quality, a little better detail than standard figures, so I thought that that wouldn't be fair. Now, with all that out the way, these are just going to be the regular figures that you could have grabbed off the shelf for like 20 bucks or something like that. All right, let's get started in no particular order. So this is Devastator, and the closest thing that we've gotten to a Doomsday in this line so far. This figure is big, he's chunky, these spikes are sharp. This is one of the figures that when you saw it, if you ever saw it, on the shelves compared to different brands or other figures around it, it really grabs your attention because it was only 20 bucks and it's just a massive, heavy figure, and the detail is just really great. All these spikes alongside his body, the detail in the face, the red of the eyes, that symbol right there on his chest, it's just really good. And plus his mouth can open and close for a little added effect. This was definitely one of the figures that when I first saw it, I was like, I need to get this. This is an amazing looking figure. Unfortunately, even though he's not that new, you can still find him as part of a 2-pack along with Superman for around $40, maybe a little bit less than that if you can get him on sale. But I like big figures. I like the chunky figures, and I'm so happy that McFarlane came out with something like this earlier on in the run, because it definitely helped to set a precedent. Speaking of setting a precedent, this is the second figure I want to show you, the Hellboy Suit. So this figure stands out to me because it was one of the first figures that I saw on the shelves that really made me go, wow, they're really serious about this. McFarlane is really cranking it up, because this figure pretty much set the tone for a lot of figures that came afterwards, in that these are characters or variations of characters or suits of armor in this case that you really didn't see much of anywhere, much less get an actual action figure for it. So not only was that awesome, you also get a figure that is big, he's glossy, and for accessories, he comes with these massive wings that you can fold down because they're so darn big. And this is a Batman unlike any that I had seen up until that point. And this, alongside with the Superman Unchained armor, was two figures that right before the pandemic hit, I was in Target, and then I saw them and I was like, these are the ones that I really want. These are so amazing. And that's what really got McFarlane to stay on my radar for months and months and months to come. So this is a great figure. And even though he's big, he's not stiff. He's not really poorly articulated. You know, this is a really good figure. I don't know if you can still find them for a regular price. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not too sure, but it's definitely a staple on my shelf. And whether you have the wings wide open or whether you keep the wings folded, he still looks really cool nonetheless. Let's move on to another figure that I am quite fond of, kind of surprisingly quite fond of, and this is Wonder Woman from Dark Knight's Death Metal. So there's a few Wonder Women in this line, and they're all different in some way, shape, or form. But this one is the one I think is like just super cool. And I love the paint job that they did on her, particularly for the hair. I love that black and blue look. I think that it really works for her. And then it also just goes along with the entire motif, you know, from her makeup and then from this chainsaw blade thingy that she has. I mean, I didn't read that comic, but man, what a crazy weapon to have. We're so used to the lasso of truth, but in death metal, we're just getting these really just out of this world, quite literally, versions of these characters. So this is definitely a very unique Wonder Woman. And for a female figure, I love the fact that even though she's rocking heels, she is super sturdy on her feet, more so than a lot, well, most of the DC Multiverse figures in my collection. I've never needed to use a stand with her. She is very, very sure-footed, and a lot of these other figures, they could learn a thing or two from her. But the detail is really cool on her. I love like this bone armor that she has on her shoulder. This little headdress here is really, really awesome. And this is my favorite Wonder Woman that is a part of my collection. I think I probably got maybe 3, perhaps 4 of them, and this one is definitely my favorite out of all of them. Great detail, great paint. It just really helps to, you know, make up everything that I tend to like about McFarlane, and then they still keep the articulation, which is still good. You know, is it the best? Of course it's not the best, but it's still good. I was pretty surprised that I like this next figure as much as I do, because he's just so simple. So this is just a regular Superman, the DC Rebirth version of Superman. And you know, I thought like, hey, I don't have a regular Superman in my collection. I saw this guy, so I'm like, let me pick him up. But you know, as I reviewed him and was looking at him more, they did such a great job on this Superman because it's just so classic, you know? Did a great job with the face sculpt, and he's jacked, you know, so he's nice and muscular. The hair is great. The S on his chest is glossy and it's clean. And I said it in the review that I did, it's just the quintessential Superman. You know, no gimmicks, no weird storylines, none of that stuff. Just regular old Clark Kent-esque Superman. You know, traditional swooping cape. You know, he's got the curl, the front of the hair. It's just, it's classic. It's just really classic. And when I have him on his flight stand at the very top of my shelf, and he's sort of ascending somewhat above the other Superman, and I'm like, it just kind of goes to show that, man, sometimes less is more. Now, this last figure stands out to me because it is the polar opposite of the Bruce Wayne Batman that we all know and love. It is the most Americanized version of Batman that you can possibly get. It is this guy, the Grim Knight. The guy that has an unnecessarily large arsenal of weapons and an incredibly inflated ego and sense of entitlement. This Batman is what the Punisher would be like if it were a DC property. And the other thing about this Batman is, it is one that you probably won't see for a while. This was before Warner Brothers decided that they would prefer if figures based off their properties did not come with guns, which is why we see the most modern Green Lantern with the sword. That's why Red Hood has finger guns and not actual guns. And even other properties like Suicide Squad, why Peacemaker doesn't have a gun. You know, it's just kind of really silly. But with this guy, he comes loaded with guns. I mean, check this out. He's got a grenade launcher in this hand. He's got guns molded that you can just attach to his back. And he's got this other like submachine gun that's attached to him. I mean, just loaded out. He will kill anything that he feels he should kill. It's not the Batman that we know, but in that world, it's the Batman that they got. I think still that this is a really, really cool figure. It's the guns. Really, that's it. It's the guns. And even though, you know, in personal and real life, I'm not a huge gun guy, but, you know, these are toys, these are action figures, and just for what it is, I think it's pretty amazing. Well, that's it, you guys. There are a lot of honorable mentions that I want to point out that did not make this list, but it doesn't mean that I don't like them. It just means that I just wanted to do 5, and these were the ones that stood out the most to me at the moment. So I do want to mention the Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman. That's one that I really do like also, and that is the one that has the scythe, and he has that really awesome studded metal jacket and everything. It just looks really, really cool. I really do like that figure. The Batman who Who Laughs with the Wings is another one that I'm fond of, and he can hold all those different Robins. That's a really great figure. There's so many. I have so many of these guys, and most of them are really, really good. But you know, if I had to just look at the 5 that for various reasons made me go like, man, that's a really cool looking figure, it would be these guys right here. So consider this the January 2022 Jeremy's Justice League of McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures. It's really good stuff. So that's it, you guys. I'm still going to grab these figures, the best ones that I am into. Hopefully they won't have as many side eyes, and I'll continue to do reviews on these guys because McFarlane done a really good job, all things considered. Thank you all so much for watching. Till next time, I'm Jeremy. We'll talk to you later.